And I'm back. You hear the church bells? Oh, they just stopped. Yeah, I'll continue, and maybe let's see if I can put some more energy into everything. Just, I feel it's a bit like my feet immediately got cold when I was thinking the thought, like when I was saying that just right now. So it feels like it's a bit overwhelming to my nervous system. Might be too much. Okay, then let's just try to be more mellow and relax is definitely a misnomer, but just proceed cautiously. I don't know. I just had the thought in my mind that I wanted to play with more a bit more energetic fashion, a bit more no, not necessarily upbeat, but more rhythmic and more fun. It seems like my body isn't really into it. So that when my feet get cold, it's like a typical reaction from my nervous system. That basically it means that my muscles contract, and there's less blood flow in my feet. Though you can also see it from like a energetic standpoint from like Chinese medicine or many other systems of viewing the body. But anyway, it's not a helpful state, and obviously it's very uncomfortable to have those cold, tense feet. And I'm actually happy that my feet are not that cold right now. I'm on the balcony, and it's a warm September day, mid-September day. It's really sunny. That's why I get that sunroof. I don't even know if that's called a sunroof or whatever in English. Out, else I would be sitting in the sun. I lay down in the sun for 2 minutes or so yesterday just to have my body absorb some more sunlight, which is it's actually really important for the organism. I could talk for 2 hours on that topic, though. There's like science, then there's like science you would have really to go into deeply to where it's a bit hard to verify, and there's stuff that people say, and there might be experiences people have, but I mostly almost disregard those because people are very different. Obviously, everybody's very unique, and so the same experiences don't apply to the same people. And then there's the experiences I have had myself, and also my intuitive feeling and knowing of how sunlight affects me. And so my general conclusion is, yeah, it's very good and helpful, but when your body is not ready to receive it, then don't overdo it. And so that's why I haven't had any sun on my skin today. But I'm happy. I'm lucky to be here where I have a balcony, and I'm absorbing sunlight reflected by nature, by green leaves and everything through my eyes. And there are many windows in my room, which means it gets really cold at night now, and I have actually to use a radiator, like an electric radiator to heat my room, which is a bit expensive, but yeah, cannot figure out something better. Yes, I can, but there are much more pressing, urgent priorities anyway, I'm digressing. But the windows also mean that lots of sunlight and lots of daylight just enter my room, which means they're still absorbed by the body and through my eyes. And if they're absorbed, if it goes into my eyes, it means it goes into my brain. So the body is still absorbing daylight and sunlight, and definitely more than at any of the two places I like at that place I used to live until June, and then at the place I lived until the end of 2019. So yeah, that's what I thought yesterday. I shouldn't beat myself up over the fact that I'm not going out there and in the garden and sit in the shade or in the sunlight and just allow my body to entrain with nature's energies and rhythms and the earth. Or like, for example, like this summer, I only did it once, but I'm still happy that I did that, because I've always wanted to do it for, I don't know, ever since, not all my life, because I wasn't aware and I didn't have the sensitivity to feel it all my life, but for a longer time than I can really tell right now. And that was, I dug a little hole and filled it with water, like in the ground, in the earth, and filled it with water, so it's kind of a muddy hole, and then I sat down. I don't remember whether it was on a chair or just on a log of wood or something, and stuck my feet in until it got too cold. But I was sitting there for a while, and that's a really great. I don't know. It just feels great if you. Firstly, if you're in contact with the earth, with the grass or with the ground, with your bare feet, and then even more if there's water and or mud and your feet are really enveloped in it. Yeah, you can interpret the effect from many different angles, which probably all are valid, like the kind of more electromagnetic aspect, which is I'm not sure if it's exactly fringe science, but definitely not established science. Yeah, but I guess you know what I mean if I just say that. I don't need to go into it. And the other thing is, for example, that the skin of my feet and my part of my lower, like my ankles, my shanks, well, not, yeah, I mean, yeah, mainly my feet and like part of my lower legs, being immersed in that muddy water, and in that mud means that bacteria and microorganisms that live in the soil had a chance to latch onto my skin and hopefully, possibly some beneficial helpful organisms got incorporated into my skin flora, and maybe there's something left from that. I mean, if I do it regularly, definitely would be that way. And I dream of like really digging a bathtub and then like really bathing in mud. Though there's actually a natural pool here in the garden. I could just see it from my balcony, and then I just saw it. So that might be the easier way, but yeah, water is cold and haven't felt energized enough and yeah, I'm kind of always freezing, even if it's really hot and I'm sweating. Yeah, it's my body and nervous system are weird, or let's say sensitive, and very much stressed. Same with the immune system, hormonal system, and so on. Which means better not to put it under too much physical stress when it doesn't feel right. And now I talked too much, and I'm a bit inhibited regarding playing on my drums. So I'll take a very short break. I'll play like a couple of strokes, so I hope kind of to prime my brain and mind into the fact that I want to continue, and then I'll take a short break, drink some water, maybe eat a little bit, so maybe drink a sip of tea or something. Maybe feel into my body whether would help to take some medication, and yeah, most important thing, drink some water. And then God willing, I'll be back, inshallah. Yes. So yeah, I can't upload a video without any drumming on my drumming channel. I don't know. Should I record my face or the drum? I mean, neither one really makes sense. But then I want to look at myself occasionally while I'm drumming, because it helps me stay focused and kind of stimulates me in a way, and also it gives me that mirror-like feedback, the state of enhanced presence. I've been talking about that a lot on the journal entries I used to post on the video journal channel. I'm just talking currently to. Seems there's a part in myself that just wants to keep on talking to distract himself, and yeah, I can't even feel the part in myself that wants to drum, but it's definitely there, and it's been there since I was a small child, before I ever touched any drum, and it's even in my genes. Like my father never played any instrument, and he I remember when I was small, he used to just drum some rhythm, some surface, or with his hands or something, and I remember when I was a kid, when we used to give him some kid's instrument like a xylophone, he was able to just play any melody with it without ever having been taught how to use it. And it used to be the same for me. Actually, the way how I got into learning the piano was that, I mean, I can't really put it in the chain of causality, but I remember when I was a young child, kindergarten age, pretty sure, maybe early primary school age, but very young child, my family went to visit friends of my parents. I'm not sure who they are. Never went there again. But anyway, there was a piano standing there in the living room, and it really fascinated me to this thing, like any musical instrument. And so yeah, I don't know. I probably was quite self-conscious, but I don't know whether I asked what I can play, or I just stole myself away and tried that. But I just started playing some melody with my fingers. So, I mean, to me, it was very intuitive and easy. You just have to. I think I only used the white key. I definitely only used the white keys. But if you only play on the white keys, you have the major scale. Well, if you start with a C note, yeah, you've got a major scale, and so and then the typical like children's song or songs for toddlers and so on, or like some easy melodies there. They're all, I mean, in this part of the world, they're usually all in major. So yeah, that's what I just played with one finger, and then they just asked me, oh, how long have you been learning the piano for? I was surprised because, yeah, this is the first time I ever touched a piano in my life, and yeah, somehow it seems that I somehow managed to talk my parents into actually buying a whole piano, like a small used one, but nonetheless certainly wasn't cheap, especially also getting it into our house. But we had a fairly big house back then, because we used to live with my grandparents, and then well, not that big, but my brothers used to be very toddlers, just babies at that time, and my grandfather had already passed away, so there was room on the ground floor, and yeah, I got a piano. So like first they paid for harmonica. No, it's not called accordion lessons for me, because my grandma, who's living in our house on the ground floor, and us, like my parents and me and my two brothers on the first floor. Yeah, and my grandma still had an accordion, which he apparently used to play in her youth, or maybe my grandfather. He definitely knew how to play musical instruments. I remember my mom mentioning that he knew how to play the mandolin, which he learned while on holiday in Italy or something like that. So, but anyway, my grandmother, she was still from a generation where people, when they were getting together to have fun, would play something on instruments and sing rather than listening to records, because they, I guess they usually, they were they were all from pretty poor. I mean, especially seen through like comparing to today's standards, it would be, they were all like really poor, and they wouldn't have been able to afford any records or equipment to play them. So anyway, my grandmother had an accordion, and I studied that for a year or so. It didn't really click, and then I got a piano. I was very happy about that. Still didn't. Well, but I learned the basics. I always liked to improvise. Wasn't so much into playing yeah, but that's a whole very, like, when I'm thinking back now, I just notice how complicated the whole story is. But the main point, or the kind of problem, if you will, I figured out much later, is that when you have a kid learn some instrument, you should really make sure that the teacher knows how to play that instrument and really has some skill and some feeling for it. And that wasn't the case with the teacher my parents got for me. I mean, I guess it's also about certainly at that time about the money, and then also the fact that we were in the countryside, so teacher would have to come to our house by car for lessons. But yeah, my teacher didn't even really have any training for piano. I think she did for the accordion and the guitar, but I don't know, she, yeah, wasn't really like, nowadays I wouldn't be comfortable around that person at all. And as far as I remember, one of the main reasons my mom hired her for lessons was that she was like kind of out of sympathy, because that woman didn't have a lot of money, or had some money problems or whatever, something like that. So just to help her, that, like a typical pattern of behavior from my mom, which has brought a lot of tension and stress and problems for the family, and I've very much internalized that pattern. That, you know, to this degree, I wouldn't even be able to do it. But it's just about, yeah, you just always try, like, you see a problem in other people, and you pour all your resources into trying to help them instead of helping yourself, and yeah, but that's like a whole different topic right now. I don't even remember why I started talking about playing the piano, which I haven't done for which, yeah, for ages, and I would certainly need lots of practice just to get into it again. There's actually a piano in this small piano here in the house, but it's situated in kind of in the living room, and yeah, it's not in a place where I feel safe to go and try and play. Right now, in this state, I just feel fairly safe in this room and on my balcony. So I'm so blessed to actually have a balcony here, and then when I'd be sitting on that piano, my back would be towards the door, so I wouldn't, like, somebody could come in and see me and hear me at any point, and that really just that would let my anxiety levels really go through the roof. I never liked it. I never liked people to listen when I played on the piano. That's when I started uni at age 19 and moved to Vienna. I got myself an electronic piano with headphones, like an actual electronic piano, so the keys would be like proper piano keys, and like not like on a keyboard, so you can, it's just a very different feeling on the fingers. And I had some money because we have compulsory military service here, and if you don't want to do it, you can instead do a year of social service, and I did that at a local um, old people's home and kind of sanatorium. That they used to be like mostly old people and handicapped people there. Very interesting experience as well. Yeah. Anyway, so we did get paid a little bit, but just was just a ridiculous amount. I mean, anybody who wouldn't be still living with their parents and being supported by their parents would have a really hard time to survive. It was, I think it was about, must have been less than 200 euros a month, and then you would get about 5 euros or even less per day for food. So it's, I mean, it's wow, it's like almost impossible to survive on this. I think it's a bit better now, but even back then, when you'd be in the military, which, by the way, would have been I don't know, maybe half or a third of the amount of time, much shorter anyway. And for some reason, you'd be unable to receive food in the canteen. In, what do you call the mess hall? I don't, anyway, if you weren't given food, you were given financial compensation to get your own meals, your own food every day, and that would be I think triple the amounts. I think 13, 14 euros per day, which is that's actually more than I have now for food and groceries and to live on. But that's my fault, because I've got debts to pay back. Yeah. Lots of stories to tell and about the whole background and everything, but I don't want to distract myself any further. I mean, it's nice to go back to that time and kind of reminisce or kind of think back and see it from today's perspective, and I guess it helps with resolving. I mean, that time. Once I graduated high school, that used to be a very stressful and very hard time for me, because my mother was trying very hard to bind me, to have me like very much stay committed to the family and return home as often as possible, as much as possible, because my grandma died. She died a year before. Yeah, basically she died. She died in my last year of school, and as I've mentioned, she used to live in our house. So for my mom, who had been living in that house for her whole life, she was still very much under the influence of my mother, and there were a lot of was a lot of conflict, a lot of hidden conflict, which I wasn't aware as a kid. I could feel it in my body, in my nervous system, and that made me into a problem child. And I probably even internalized it when I was still in the womb, because at that time there was a strong conflict between my mom and my grandmother over some issues. Yeah, and then after my grandma had died and that had passed, my mom, I've got 2 younger brothers, and so she felt, oh, finally we can be a real family and have those small children. And at the same time, I was at an age where it's normal and healthy and really important to move away from the family and actually be socially not conditioned, but not integrated, but yeah, anyway, just to venture out into the social sphere, and also just to build those pathways in my brain. And that for a couple of years that was a really intense conflict and pressure, and lots of manipulation, and lots of hidden tension, conflict, and a lot of things that I can only that back then I didn't have the awareness to actually be aware of it consciously. That's the seed of a lot of the problems I'm still struggling with. I mean, it's really a very, very important period, and it actually ended when I got sick with meningitis and all these problems in China, and then I developed chronic fatigue, and then well, it went on, but it got even worse, and that's how I got where I'm right now. So that's probably very important periods, which is responsible for the fact that now I'm not able to properly build and maintain nourishing social relationships, and I'm very much isolated, and actually I have a lot of I mean it has really organically manifested in my nervous system to the degree that I'm just struggling, where I'm not able to function, as just struggling to simply survive, and I'm unable to interact with people, and it's I've never been able to put energy into building and maintaining relationships with other people and so on. So I don't have that as a positive resource, and only some years ago I just realized that that's actually extremely important. I mean, being part of a group and having this feeling of acceptance and belonging, which I don't have, and never really never had, only in some kind of very problematic ways, like for example with my family and so on. That has a much bigger influence on your physical and psychological and just your general well-being, functioning in your body, your resistance to to illness of any kind, and to your ability to function in life and develop and so on. It's a much bigger influence than what you eat or drink, or just even your physical needs. So the social, emotional needs actually come first, and that's something completely absent from my life, even at this age. And well, the older you get, the harder it does get to build this up from zero. And in my life, it's usually been like that. Yeah, I kind of get to know new people, but never don't really build very lasting friendships, relationships that can really help and nourish me. I mean, to a certain degree, yes. That's really hard, and now it's especially hard because I'm just. I mean, obviously, if I'm unable to take a shower right now and just clean up my room and go outside, obviously I'm not seeing any people, and it's hard to, like with my chronic fatigue and all those psychological, psychiatric, whatever problems, spend time around people and just connect to people. But I'm looking forward to starting my studies at uni in October, so only a bit more than 2 weeks from now. I mean, I'm not sure if I really can connect to people and make friends. Seems not so likely because of the aforementioned reasons, but at least I will be in a kind of social environment, which is already a very, very beneficial thing, and it's much better than, I mean, for me it's much more beneficial than having a social environment in a kind of like therapeutic context where like everybody else is struggling with illness. And yeah, I mean, if somebody's watching this, you're suddenly aware that I like very easily pick up other people's moods and the state they're in, and where you have this high level of sensitivity and empathy. So in my experience, I have met nice people, I've made some friends in such environments, but over the time I just noticed how much stress and how much of a burden they are. It's just in general, it always depends on the specifics, of course. And then in like meeting people in a more informal way, that's hard because as I said, I don't have the energy, and it's quite hard when you meet someone just to introduce myself and talk about myself, because it's complicated. I mean, if I have a lot of energy and I'm in a good mood, it just flows along, and but yeah, also it's been a very, very long time since I've ever experienced any informal get-together where there was a really comfortable atmosphere that would be conducive to just really connecting with people and not just playing the typical social games and pretense and all those dynamics and so on. But whenever I'm in uni, especially whenever I'm learning a language, which yeah, I've already talked about that. That's really nice and positive environment for me. And still ranks the top among everything else, even compared to meeting people on common interests, even if those interests are like kind of self-development and stuff. So an environment where I could speak as openly as here, or rather like on the other channel with my video journal entries. Which just so much more conducive. Anyway, makes it easier to really properly connect with people on a personal, emotional, even spiritual level. But very easy to get overwhelmed, and also yeah, these things didn't really work out either. It's quite stressful as well, because again it tends to attract people who are quite struggling, and this element of there's this strong element. Well, very often there's the strong elements of like beliefs, like systems of belief and thought, and even judgments, like how should I be, how should others be, what is the right, the wrong thing, what should I do, what should you do, how can I help you, how can you help me, and even especially in like more spiritually oriented circles, to forsake your humanness, just your basic personality and basic needs, for more of a spiritual persona, which adds kind of a lot of pretense again. I mean, some things I can't even describe or verbalize, but it's just very palpable. I just feel it in my nervous system that it's just overwhelming, and it just doesn't feel right, and it's very uncomfortable, and the people's energy, or how don't necessarily match the words, and you in some instances you easily get blamed if you're not successful or not conforming to. Again, it's funny, but again, that's actually another environment where conformity is very much valued. And that's much less so again when you're at university and studying, because there's like a kind of structure where everybody's embedded in, so that kind of puts you all on the same level, and so there's certain kind of focus, and I don't know how to put it, but it's yes, it's always in school, and in uni, or any kind of situation where in a class with people, I always found it can't say the best way to connect with people, but it's just the most least overwhelming, like where the most beneficial way, I guess, to be in a group of people. And it has to be, there has to be a certain element of challenge. So for example, in the Djembe course I went to, which was a free course for anybody struggling with psychiatric problems, which was really great, and we had a great teacher. We had one. I could go there and join them anytime. I'm not sure whether it's actually whether it's being offered right now because of COVID. I would have to look it up, but I could just go there, and when I feel like it, I'll definitely do it again. But yeah, for me, it's also not not challenging enough. Like even though I rarely went there, I was always among the best players, and it was just really easy for me to pick up a new rhythm and just play along. And even if I've missed a couple of months, and I would come there again, I could just go and jump in and continue. And that, yeah, if that element of challenge is missing, it makes it a bit harder, because it's I don't know, if there's more challenge, if there's more stimulation and more focus, which are just elements that stimulate my brain. I mean, I'm diagnosed with ADD, so that's it's probably also especially valid for people with a similar where the brain tends to exhibit like a similar way of a similar way of functioning, a similar neurotype, if you will. And I'm still talking. That's definitely meaning too much time. But as this is the, I don't even remember what it's called. George playing on his drums, something like this. No, rhythm. I think the rhythm of the planet, right? Because when you really get into the flow, you kind of channel whatever is around you and in you, and yeah, and that was the thought, the premise, the main point, even at the beginning, just to play my drums as an expression of how I'm feeling. I think that came it came long before I started video journals where I would be just talking about myself or anything else, because I do have the experience that I'm much better at expressing myself non-verbally than in words, especially when it comes to feelings and just everything related to that, and my general state and everything like that. I mean, if I put it in words. I have to filter it from my mind and think about the audience or the person I'm talking to, put it into kind of a word, into words, or kind of a concept that can somehow be understood, and it's supposed. I mean, you have to put it in a way that it's somewhat internally consistent, which is not the case with life and with just daily life for me. Yeah, and also being so focused on myself, or being so far removed from the time before it all got like this, and being not very familiar with the way other people live their lives, and yeah, I even remember, like, in my family, it's always been, yeah, we struggle with the same things too, and your whole life is just a never-ending struggle of pain and torment, just to make everything happen and go through that. So it's a lot of, I guess, just for me, a lot of things like being in pain, physically or psychologically, it's very much normalized, and I noticed that I easily get misunderstood, or like, yeah, that's hard for people to grasp what is really going on, and hard for me to communicate it to them, because it's just seems to be quite far removed from the experience of other people. And even if I think back to myself, before I had that meningitis and developed that chronic fatigue and all these problems, I wouldn't be able to imagine the state I am in right now. So yeah, I guess, yeah, I've been thinking that many times already, for many years, or like had that thought come to me. It's all these experiences are really helpful to build up empathy and understanding for other people in all kinds of situations and with all kinds of problems, provided I see some improvement and manage to build up stability in my own life, so that that this level of, if you will, understanding or empathy and relatability, that I can actually make use of it in any way, in interactions with other people, maybe even professionally in some way, or I mean, even if I just have my own family, or just with friends, with other people, with anybody. And once again, I got completely sidetracked. I just want to play on my drum for 10 seconds before and end the video, because yeah, I want to come back and play. It doesn't seem so likely now. Let's just try, but yeah, it looks like my body doesn't want to. So I'll just end here, and let's see. But it would be, it would be great if I get around to doing all the things I wanted to do, and maybe go out in nature, maybe go out for a walk, go buy some groceries, and so on and so on. lots of things I could do, lots of things that needs to get done, and so on. But also would be nice to check in with you again and play on my drums some more on video, obviously, because still it doesn't work without video. But who knows, in a couple of years I guess we'll have yeah, it might be more than a couple of years for everybody to have it, but there will be artificial intelligence that will be able to just watch my videos and distill things from it, like from the timeline of the videos I posted, and that it will be really interesting then, because I don't think I definitely never gonna watch all these videos, because it's gonna be so many hours upon hours of me talking or drumming or whatever. But I'm quite sure that not only within my lifetime, but actually not so soon into the future, I will just be able to ask my phone or my computer, some piece of software, ask it to look through the whole material and I don't know, show me some trends that will be quite fascinating. Also, yeah, it depends, like, developments in the next couple of days and weeks and months. As you know, in general, I'm always very optimistic. But then looking back at the past few years and at even just as today, and I mean, certainly on many levels I've been really stuck in a certain place for a very, very long time, and I might just I might just have to accept to remain in that state. I mean, I know that's you're the more aware parts of yourself. They only want yeah, they're all about personal development and expansion. So in some way, something very painful or destructive or humiliating or challenging. I always say challenging. I don't even. Yeah, disastrous, whatever might or definitely will happen in my life, and but possibly and hopefully also very positive, like sudden positive surprises, positive experiences, and so on, which will kind of catapult me forward, even if I don't manage to get out of this stuckness where I just distract myself, where I'm just ensconced in this addictive behavior of distracting myself with my phone or computer, and yeah, and my phone is actually running out of battery right now. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely not gonna stay static, but it might be that I stay in a state of struggle for a long time, or it in some ways gets even worse. I mean, for the past month, I'm really struggling because of the whole situation with my medication. I've talked about that on the other channel. So I lived in a place for half a year where there was a very high level of stress, and the amount of prescription tranquilizers I took just got really high, just much higher than ever before. Okay, I gotta plug in my phone, and which means that right now I don't have an effective way to or effective that I'm unable to function, and I don't have the pharmaceutical support to function. So it would work with high enough dosage of tranquilizers, though that's really not optimal. And I was hoping to get some help and be prescribed some different drugs like antidepressants and stuff like that, which would help me just with the basic functioning in day-to-day life, in lieu of tranquilizers, which are not the right thing. And and especially after this couple of months, of course I came to be dependent on a certain dosage, and then when my doctor changed, it got now it's way lower, and that's it's still not being resolved. So it's highly undecided how the next days and weeks and month will look like. And on that grounds, I can't be as optimistic as I usually used to be, which is actually good. It's kind of a more realistic state, while it still feels fairly open-minded, and I do like the fact that I trust my own experience and feeling, even if it puts me in strong opposition to a lot of people by now, or to practically everyone. But I've just I don't want to do anything just for the sake of placating people by doing what they think is the right thing, even if I low-key do know that it just won't work out that way. Because basically my whole life has been an experience of exactly this. And then it doesn't work out in the end, and then there's some kind of collapse, and everything yeah, everything you poured all your life energy and effort and everything and resources into just goes down. Actually, it doesn't even go down the drain, but rather it clogs the drain, and yeah, there's still lots to clean up for me. Lots of stuff in my drain. So yeah, I don't want to go down that road again, at least not. Yeah, I just want to, if I make a decision, really be in tune with myself. So once again, I'm happy that I'm here, and yeah, as you can see, there is not all houses and people, but there's trees and sky and grass and greenery and hills. I mean, people and houses as well, but it's a big difference. I can really feel a strong difference in my nervous system, in that it allows me to be less influenced by people, and it's a bit easier to, I wouldn't say I'm really attuned to myself actually, but I'm maybe a bit less in a state of confusion. I also noticed that I actually don't really have a voice right now. Yeah, but it's not a topic. And that I can observe like, because my ability to function in my daily life has been stripped down very much beyond even the basic necessities. And at the same time, there's lots of space. I mean, spatially and temporally, there's like an openness in time and space, which means it's easier for me to observe all kinds of things, and yeah, it's just interesting. I don't have the right solution. I can't say or know, and definitely not claim that how I'm handling the whole thing is like the best way or the right way, but certainly not the wrongest way, if you will. And the thing is, unfortunately, in the past month, I did notice that actually people, doctors, and so on, and all kinds of people, they always assume that you're acting in the just from the worst type of consciousness possible, and that the first thing to overcome is just you yourself, and that you should submit to their ideas, and I mean, there's a lot to this kind of thinking, but on the other hand, I've got ample experience with those things, and I just know that oh yeah, my phone is really out of power. and I guess there's not a specific point I'm trying to bring across. So I'll just stop now. I feel that my nervous system is like really intensely in a state of unrest and very highly imbalanced and overwhelmed because of all, I guess, all the stuff I've been talking about and the fact I've been talking, but might have been beneficial. I'll do my best to make the best of it. I mean, I didn't know until a short while ago that I'd be able to play on my drums, so I'm happy that it worked today, even if I was looking forward to dealing with quite different things, but there was surprises. I wasn't expecting myself to start playing my drums again when I lay down and put my earplugs in and covered my eyes, and then it just happened. So this or something will definitely happen again, maybe today, and I'm just surviving minute by minute, day by day, breath by breath, though I'm unfortunately not really able to be present with my breath and my heartbeat and these things, which are really helpful states, like the presence in your body and this kind of awareness. If you're in a prolonged state, it's highly beneficial. But there used to be periods in the past where I was much more able to do that. But then I had support from medication, though again not those tranquilizers are definitely not the right thing. They don't really fit the problems I'm struggling with, but they're definitely addictive. You just they cause some amount of physical dependence. Apparently, it's hard to tell. Like I don't really feel withdrawal symptoms that much, but like about a week ago or so, I'd used them up, and I hadn't taken any for a while, and it worked well, and then again it made me miss my appointment at the clinic where I was supposed to meet my new doctor and actually hopefully get help in all these matters. Not able to say if it would have worked if I'd be taking a high enough dose, I certainly would have been able to do that. But I don't want to go back to that, and at this point there's nobody who would prescribe it to me in those amounts anyway. So the main thing is that I'm hoping for right medication to support me to, yeah, just to the degree that I can once again help myself. And there's a certain point, a certain level where there would be a turning point. I mean, once I get to a certain degree of being able to help myself, I'm just very much convinced that that would be a total game changer, and progress would quite quickly show in many areas, on many levels. Because I'm after all these years, and also because of my interest in healing, or like supporting optimal functioning of the human body and life in general. There's so much about I know about how to help myself. It's just for now it seems like I'm being again shown that I just can't get there by willpower alone. So, and definitely not through medication alone either. I mean, it has to work in tandem with how I myself approach things, what I focus on, spend my days, and how I create my life. So one more reason why I want to and will go to uni in October, because of all the benefits already mentioned, and so on. Though you might say from a certain, like, let's say from a spiritual point of view, in some respect, it that, like, for the main signposts, or like of what direction my life will go to, or like the really big developments, I think it doesn't even matter that much what I'm doing or not doing, or which way I'm doing it, or what I believe, and so on. I mean, it can certainly make the difference between my life being a very painful struggle and full of torment, versus being much more balanced, and myself being more empowered, and able to be proactive and have more choices, be able to make decisions, and so on. But I guess the larger themes, from what I've experienced so far, they're kind of like waves, or like ocean currents that just kind of basically, I mean, I don't need to obsess whether I'm doing the right or the wrong thing. In some way or another, it will always turn out positively. One, because I do have a positive focus in and of itself, obviously, and the other thing because I mean, the whole thing, even though it's been so chaotic and painful and hard and challenging and so on for the larger part of my life, the whole momentum still carries a lot of positivity to it. So it's not sure if I can say it doesn't have a destructive element in it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's something I guess you can only say in hindsight. But it has, well, it has a general theme of positivity, of development, of like positive developments, sort of resolve of more and wider awareness and so on. So that's really something I can trust. The major challenge is and has always been whether it's just in my consciousness and maybe only something I keep to myself. I'm not even able to pass on to other people, or something that is consciously received by others, or that I can manifest it in my life, in my body, in what I create for my own sake, my own benefit, which means that there will be times when I feel better and I'm more empowered and more stable, more, and so on, and also for the benefit of others in my life. I am not trying to help or influence or change everyone or specific people, but I'm sure when the more like the energy is moving and the more harmonious it is, and the more the whole situation gets into a state of being more stable, and me being more able to act and to interact and so on, it will be easier for me to meet, connect to, and attract people that might benefit from from connecting with me, and of course the other way around. It's interesting, the place I went to in this whole monologue, where I started and how I went and where I ended up. I didn't plan for that at all. I thought I wouldn't be able to record a video journal entry. I think I still wouldn't be able, because it's just too hard to talk about my daily life or just to find any point of entry. But apparently in this video I've just found exactly that, and yeah, and I've been talking for a long time now. Not sure if I really said something. As I mentioned before, I'm looking forward to the artificial intelligence of the future, which will analyze my musings and kind of be able to extract the essence of what I'm conveying and how it's developing over time compared to the other videos I'm recording and so on. It could be quite interesting. The other day I read, I was surfing the internet and looking at an artificial intelligence program called GPT-3, which is there are like some quite really interesting results, and there are some apps or websites where you can go and interact with some different implementations where you can actually talk to an artificial intelligence based on this program, and it's quite fascinating. It's but I'm not going into this now. It's yeah. So for the fifth time or so in a row, it will be I think this is a good moment to stop the video and say goodbye. See you again. Best wishes to me on my day. May it just develop in a very positive way, and also whatever happens, or actually things really don't really happen to me, it's rather like what I'm confronted with in myself, in my body, with my nervous system, and that's something beyond my control. And so the intention I'm setting is, may I react to whatever I'm being confronted with in the best possible way, like from my highest level of consciousness, a bit like how I actually got to record this video and the one before I was playing on my drum, which was something unplanned, unexpected, kind of a bit satisfying, and though I'm just, I mean, if I keep on talking, I'm just repeating myself. So let's I'll just make a spiral with my hands and some hand movements, and maybe the artificial intelligence kind of, at some point, it will be able to just extract my energy and my state, and I mean, even if I just quote unquote only move my hands, there's a lot being, yeah, I mean, especially now when I express that, when I voice out this, I can even feel the energy. There's a lot being expressed, like through the movement in my body. And I guess at some point we'll have an artificial intelligence that can watch the video and also pick up on these things. Human brain can, and how I'm doing that, and then I'm pressing stop, and that shall have been my last sentence.